Excellent work, son. I'm so proud of you. Now all we need is to get back my prototype car and shut down Otto once and for all.
Okay, using Slick's map, I've located their hideout.
Which we're at right now.
Fortified. And I think I've spotted Rupert's engine signature down there. Looks like he went running back to his boss with his tail between his legs. Oh man, these guys didn't kid around with the security. Nobody's gonna be able to just drive in there.
Incoming transmission. Unidentified signature.
Greetings, Max Justice. I am Otto von Diesel. I just thought I'd give you the opportunity to say goodbye to the world you know. I will soon be going back in time, where I can finally erase you, your father, and all Hot Wheels cars from ever existing.
Now wait a minute. You don't even have the super fuel or the temporal transmission anymore.
In the end, a minor setback. Do you really think you can prevent me from fulfilling my destiny?
Why so many
Foolish
exclamation
little boy.
marks?
I made copies of all the files we stole. Your efforts to retrieve the Velocity X discs simply bought me the time I needed to construct the time machine.
Wait, but you still don't have
Thank you,
volcanic
Max.
fumes.
We really couldn't have done it without you.
What?
We know where you're hiding. And I will stop you, Otto.
I'd like to see you try. Goodbye forever, Max.
Well, looks like I've got no time to lose. Upload the position of Otto's base to my radar, Gearhead. With a fully charged gadget, I should be able to blast my way in and destroy his computer, and all the data it contains. I'll worry about chasing Otto down and disabling the prototype car after his base is toast.
Maxwell, these men will do anything to prevent you from succeeding. So be prepared and never let your guard down. We'll be waiting here for you. Good luck.
Alright, so I'm gonna... it's probably been pretty apparent I haven't been following these cutscenes exactly so far anyways, in terms of the story of this little playthrough, because otherwise if I did, it would just be the same story as the first time. This time I really need this. Just like last time we did this level. But, so let's say Otto says a little something else. Otto finally makes his grand appearance to tell us, no, he's not the one behind this. So, you might be wondering what went on with the whole Hot Wheels everything when Danny turned it all into a driving school, or rather, started a driving school, because he's obviously not working on Hot Wheels. The professor's not going to work on Hot Wheels anymore. He's working the driving school. So what's the story here? Sort of the healing thing looks like an engine. Interesting. Wow. That was fast. No, don't. Really? I don't care to have to go through these menus every single time. And a loading screen. Oh geez, this is gonna be fun. I might have to get through this section before I talk about anything. We'll see. This is pretty much this game's ultimate challenge, in my mind. I'm basically just gonna have to Iron Man this whole thing in the boss. There's not really any other possible way of approaching this, I don't think. Oh, there's some time. I didn't know that was there. It's gonna be a big help. Just scavenging for clocks to pick up. Alright. Thing is, the section I know is actually fairly short. Don't know if it's worth the time picking that up. Probably. At least with the time sheet on. I'm pretty sure they just place the mines fairly randomly throughout this whole thing. Not this part, at least. Oh my god. In a certain sense, it's actually good having this. Aha! This bus here. Because it can take so much damage. I don't know what you're supposed to do here. My god. Probably go to the left, actually. That's what it looks like. But I just kind of ran through the minefield instead. Okay. So now we can talk a little bit more about the story with Otto. Oh. Hey, Rainstorm. I prefer to have a weapon first. May I? Oh my god! Also, what's with your aim? Holy crap. Of course, we have Otto's usual goons here, too. Which is odd. So Otto claims that he's not actually the one behind those. Of course, that's another strange thing to hear when we're seeing Otto's usual underlings helping out with this whole thing. But what happened to Hot Wheels when Danny started? Oh my god. Oh man, that really... Whoa! Where are these guys coming from? What happened to Hot Wheels when Danny started the driving school? Well, it wasn't going to cease to exist, but Danny wasn't going to be the one running it anymore. So instead it got given to someone else. That someone else was in fact Otto. Otto, after everything that happened in our rather lengthy story, decided to return to a more, let's say, legitimate lifestyle as head of Hot Wheels. At which point, well, what authority or interest would they have in commanding these guys to do anything to us? Not to mention, that wouldn't really Otto being behind it wouldn't really add up with... Jeez. With, what was it? With all these other guys. Dripping Iron Storm, Merciful and Tetrad, Supido, etc. With them. Yeah, wait, now what? There's something more to be seen here. We don't have the whole picture just yet, evidently. Although, I have to admit, this is actually kind of a dramatic showdown. Because these are our two characters that grew the most, maybe except for XT3, throughout our story. The ones that went from relative nobodies to actually being a pretty big deal. Don't forget, oh, not there. Don't forget the performance by Dripping Iron Storm, to some degree in, what was it called, in Extreme Racing, but especially in Mechanics, the final race you saw in that game. Oh, yeah, it was in one of these boxes, wasn't it? Around here, approximately. Navigator's actually telling me where it is this time. It's wonderful. It's not usually very good at doing that. Yeah, there's that game's leitmotif again. It's kind of funny to hear. So I didn't really get around saying much about this, but... Oh, bye. There's our main culprit, whoever it is. But it's actually a fairly big deal seeing Danny and Dripping Iron Storm go head-to-head here, keeping in mind they're pretty much characters to grow the most in this game, or in the series, if you keep in mind. Maybe not growing in Danny's case, but they've both had pretty dramatic scenes, if you keep in mind the performance in Extreme Racing from Dripping Iron Storm, to some degree, but mostly the ending of turbo racing, not turbo racing, of mechanics. And then, of course, in World's Best Driver from Danny. What do I want to charge? Probably this. Okay. Ow. Still can't really turn in this car. Here we are. Of course, this isn't actually auto, as has already been said. Instead, we're fighting for answers to learn who this really... What? What was that? Who this really is. Could you not? They have Doom Disc of all things, and that's actually doing damage. It's ridiculous. Excuse me? What do you just do? What even does that much damage? Well, I have no proper explanation for this thing. Why that thing does so much damage. But in universe, I guess I can say, darn it. That's not what I wanted. Leave me alone for a second. This car is just so beat up after everything it's been through. No! Stop changing my weapon before I can pick up something else. It's nice to get extra ammo for other stuff too, but I'm trying to get heals. Oh, this thing, I love to see how much health this thing actually has on... Yeah, that's probably not going to be useful at all. I'd love to see how much health this thing actually has on very hard, considering how long it took to get rid of this guy on normal, and how ridiculous health is for everyone so far in this difficulty. Although that does help. Come on, if it hits, it goes right over him. It's not very good hitbox on that. We're doing fairly well. I need to remember, of course, too, that you need to actually... I don't think you can destroy this car with anything other than the laser. I think it just refuses to get destroyed otherwise. This laser packs a punch. Damage, I don't know, but knockback, amusingly so. Could you not? Ah! I don't like when you do that. Leave me alone for a second, dude. Need to charge this thing up. In any case. And for one, it would be a good way to deal with him right now, but aside from that, I need to land the last hit this way too. So let's pick these up. There you go. Alright. Now if you can actually let me hit you this time. Nice and still so I can actually get a hit on you. Come on now. They just go right over him. For some reason. I'd very much appreciate it if it didn't do that. Now at the point where in a few more seconds I won't have been able to complete this, so I didn't have the extra time. Okay, so now I'm pretty sure I just need to actually get one more hit in with. Not that. With a laser. So I can't shoot. And should be charged soon. Just need to. The hardest part is going to be landing it. So this laser does not have a very large hitbox. Like that. Perfect. So, jeez. I'll talk about what happens after this.
Quickly. Dad was able to continue his research, and even though Otto escaped from police custody, I got back to what I do best.
Max, where have you been? We need you to bring your father's new prototype car back to the lab immediately for analysis. When we said to take it for a test drive, we didn't mean you should go racing around all of Monument City. Max, did you hear me? We need to get that car back.
There's just one little thing I need to take care of.
I appreciate they used part of an actual level for that segment, but I was still never able to actually drive through that reasonably. In part right now because I'm using a bus. But anyways, I forgot you could actually see characters sitting here in the credits. But anyways, so what happens? So who was it? The person in the not quite really prototype car, because the prototype car wasn't really part of the story I was putting together for this. It was in fact someone related to Otto, not quite Otto though. It was in fact what's happening here? Is that Rupert? Is that the professor or is that Rupert trying to get close to them? Who's that on the right? That's Gearhead. It's just weird music for credits. I don't think I ever heard this when I listened to this game's soundtrack a while ago. Anyways, it's someone who doesn't have a name. It's that old face from Ultimate Racing, the best of Otto's previous workers. Otto's best gun, you might call them. Which is why it was too late to say that was actually Rupert, because Rupert's doing other things here. But what's their story? Well, for one, they took over the criminal underworld after Otto left. Otto left it in their care, but under one condition. That they would orchestrate an effort to take revenge on the one that had caused this whole fiasco in the first place, that of course being the professor. As to God of Sorrow and Pain, excuse me? What are these credits for? What? Pyrotechnics and safety measures. Sasquatch Crayon Sharpener? Den Mother? Digital Game Breakers. I like that. I never seen... I don't remember paying attention to these credits before. These are hilarious. It's awesome. Everyone got their little title. Waited patiently for us to stop playing with the toy cars and come home. The vehicles are harmed. All bets are off now. That was... Those are... I wish I was paying more attention to those. Those are actually some of the most entertaining credits I've ever seen. Yes, so they of course got together all the usual criminal connections, but also it turns out everyone else that was involved in the old adventure was also pretty on board with the idea of preventing the professor from ever becoming an issue ever again, as well as some clones of the existing robots, the XD3 and Gearhead, I think Metacog robots that were produced as well, specifically for this purpose. Not many of them, but just enough to help. The actual ones, the actual robots of course, just doing as they usually do, working at, what's it called, working at the driving school, or in Metacog's case actually working with Otto at his new legitimate business at Hot Wheels. And amidst all that, after having found this out, that this was all simply orchestrated to get back at his father, Danny exclaims in response to being asked why he would actually try to protect the one that had caused all this, that regardless of all this, the professor is in some capacity still Danny's father, And he certainly has no intention of letting anyone else touch him. Or at the very least, only he touches him. What went on is between Danny and his father. At least to Danny himself. Because he's probably a bit too short-sighted to see that what his father was doing was affecting everyone else in a fairly significant way too. But that's all there is to it. It's still Danny being Danny, as always. Anyways, this was a fun little playthrough of this game again. If there are any details I forgot about this little story to include, then I'll mention them in the next playthrough. The next playthrough I do of another game. And that'll be the last one. It'll be the actual grand finale to all of this. We'll learn about what happened with all the other characters, where they went in life. It's not really going to be an epilogue. It's not going to have a story, but it'll just be a nice farewell to everything. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about Danny and his story. I don't think there is. We've gotten to hear a little bit about what everybody else's lives have turned into. At least from the Velocity X side. And then we'll learn about everyone else in the next thing I play. I believe that's it. I don't want to just sit here rambling or saying nothing while I'm trying to think of anything that I missed, so I'll just include anything I missed off in the next series. See you then, guys.